You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, and exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, Disney.
Well, hello, and we certainly are so thankful we have so many people coming into the Six Screens tonight. Friends, something is happening in JW land. We have more and more people that are packing their bags. They're saying, that's it. We've had enough with the Jehovah's Witnesses. And they are getting on YouTube videos. They're coming into the Six Screens. They're writing in all the XJW forums. So thank you. Well, my name is Rick Farron. We have a program here tonight. It's called D&C. And, we have Dick Borgie and his wife, Constance. They're coming out of North Carolina. They're former Jehovah's Witnesses. And what we're really going to discuss, Mark, I'm going to have you mute yourself, okay? Just mute yourself. I keep muting you. Keep it muted, okay? Because it's interfering. It's causing some problems. Okay. So what we have them coming out of North Carolina, and they want to talk tonight. I'll tell you what, I'm going to be part of their program as well, and I want you to be part of their program. There's been so many issues that we dealt with being Jehovah's Witnesses, but one issue I want to deal with tonight, and we'll discuss this kind of in depth, is concerning. It's actually concerning things that have taken place when you were one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Some of the most shadiest, arrogant things that have happened to you when you were in the organization. Scandals, lies that were told about you. And not only when you were in the Watchtower, but when you left the Watchtower. So we're going to be dealing with that tonight. And I want you to put your thinking caps on here tonight. I'd love to have you call into the program. Did you ever have any lies told about you? Did you ever feel like you were involved in some scandalous bad behavior in the Watchtower and you were being accused of things you've never done? Well, by all means, I want you to listen in tonight and be part of the program. But let me bring on a host of the program, Dick and Constance Borgie. They're here with us. Hello, Constance. Hello, Dick.
Hello, Rick. How are you?
Well, we're doing good. So I think that's the topic that we're going to discuss here tonight, Dick and Constance. I know both of you folks have rumors that have been said about you while you were in the Watchtower. And when you left the Watchtower, I have things that have been said about me. I mean, some of the wildest rumors that you'd ever want to hear. That I was involved in, I'm still involved in. People do say all kinds of strange things about me, even ex-witnesses say these things. But we can all do it. But you know what I'm going to do here tonight is I've got people who've written me some of the things that they have said concerning, even perhaps about this program. Some of the things that have been said about them when they were fading or leaving and the reasons why they did it. And I couldn't believe some of the things the Watchtower would make up. In fact, I got information from one woman today. She wrote me and said that when she left the Watchtower, they accused her of having orgies. I mean, wow. they would. And that didn't take place. She mentioned to me, Rick, that didn't make place. And then also another person gave me information concerning the fact. Now these are rumors and scandals that the Watchtower accused these people of. And then also some information was also given to me, deals with another woman. She says that her and her husband were accused of running a brothel in their house. So, this is things the Watchtower would make up, that they want to make these people to be so terrible. They want the others in the congregations to view them as the worst people you could ever imagine. Another person gave me information saying that, they were telling the congregation that this brother and sister, their marriage was falling apart, and they left the Watchtower to join a metal band, which was heavy into drugs. I mean, all of these things, they're not true. Every one of these persons said this is not true what they're saying. They will make up every story in the world. Even myself, when I was disfellowshipped, they're not going to come out and say to the congregation. I mean, they knew that I no longer wanted to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses, but I ran into a sister, a loyal witness, in the market basket up here. And she ran into my former wife and I, and she said, Rick and Inez, I don't see you at the meetings anymore. Boy, we really would love to have you come back. She says, I heard that you moved to another congregation. I says, well, you heard wrong. We don't want to be part of the Watchtower. So they're going to make everything up in the world. I mean, I could go and I got a number of others as well, but I wanted to have you guys speak a little about this subject, and I'm here, and we'll go back and forth. We have some people on the line. We have Sharon from North Carolina, so I'm going to kind of let you guys. I'm here if you need me, but go ahead and speak up a little bit.
Well, good evening, everybody,
Hi.
and welcome to DC. We got a special program on for you tonight, and I'm sure you're really going to enjoy it. For close to 20 years, Six Screens has been shining a very bright light into the dark resources of the lies of the Watchtower, the false prophecies, the many people they hurt. And a lot of people have come out of the cult because of that. There's a word out there, it's called being cathartic. And what that means, and this is the other side of the programs that we're going to do tonight, is that if you have a problem with the Watchtower, or you've been treated unfairly, and a lot of people have, here's your chance to talk about it. And the reason why we're opening the lines up to this line of conversation is that on a personal note, as a lot of you know, I served in Vietnam with the Marines, and I come back with PTSD. And in order to get rid of PTSD, we had to go to a group every Wednesday for like 10 years. But every time I went to the group, the PTSD was a little less, just a little bit less. I slept a little bit better. So we're going to open up the lines tonight. You can talk about anything you want. Just remember, there'll be a lot of people wanting to get on behind you. So if you could say what you need to say, but be brief, because there are a lot of people that are going to want to come on. So hit *6 if anyone wants to talk about some mistreatment that they experienced at the hands of elders or, in fact, the governing body. *6, please. Come on.
Well, Dick, I'll start off. I'll be the icebreaker here. Let me just get back into the program. I'll be the icebreaker to get people to talk up a little bit. Let me come on here with you. Let me just come on here. So anyways, I'm thinking, I got thinking, what really was one of the most cruel things that happened to me when I was in the Watchtower? And, I was in it for 50 years of my life. I was only 3 years old when my mother kind of brought me in, but as a kid, you don't know. But as you grow older, but I remember when I was I was a ministerial servant. And I remember that at the time I had a business. I had 30 people working. 15 of them were Jehovah's Witnesses. I couldn't get them to work on Saturday, and the business that I had required Saturday work. And it was very hard to get them to come to work because they want to go out in service. So I couldn't get out because I had to be at my business. I had 5 children. I had to make a living and support my family. So anyways, because I couldn't get out in service, it wasn't that I was irregular. I was still getting time in, but not a lot, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a month. But, that wasn't really too good for the Watchtower. So I remember that what happened is one night I went to the meeting and I brought my family, as I always did. And I'm standing there singing as a young man. I was probably, 27, 29, 8 years old at the time. So I'm singing in the Kingdom Hall. And all of a sudden I got a tap on the back from an elder. And he whispers in my ear as I'm singing the song, "Oh, Brother Farron, we're removing you tonight as a ministerial servant." I mean, that isn't
Wow.
That's not a very kind way to tell a person that they're being removed while they're singing the song. I mean, these guys have no feeling at all. So, anyways, I says, I'm being removed tonight. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, you're going to meet with us after this meeting, and we're removing you as a ministerial servant.
Mm.
So I really couldn't get into a why, what. So I just figured, well, I mean, but how can you really enjoy the meeting, which I never did anyways, but how could you sit there for an hour and a half? How could you sit for an hour and a half? What are these guys going to say? So they brought me into the back room, and Brother Ferrin, we are removing you tonight as a ministerial servant. And I said, for what? They said, well, you're not getting enough time out in service. I says, well, I'm not going to try to give you excuses. I'll give you a reason. I run a business. Many of the people in this Kingdom Hall, they work for me. 15 of them, in fact. They all work for me. And at the same time, I can't get them to come. They want to go out and service Saturday, so I can't get out. They wouldn't take that into consideration at all. And then they brought up that my former wife, Inez, they said, well, she's not getting time in either. I said, well, what are you going to do with 5 children? How can my wife, put 5 kids in the car, drive down? It's very difficult to do that. So they were accusing me of, she's not going out, and, we can't have you as a ministerial servant any longer. So I says, if that's your decision, then I'll go with it. I'll honor that. But I says, there's just one thing I want to do. I says, people, when you announced me tonight, which they said we're going to do the following week. They said, when we announce it, that you're no longer you're no longer a ministerial servant. I said, I'm gonna stand at the door, because what are people gonna think? When a person is no longer one of an elder or a Jehovah's Witness, well, what do people think? They think that you're involved in something bad. They're gonna think that I was involved in immorality or fraudulent behavior or something. So I'm not gonna. You can announce it, and I'll be glad to step down if that's what you want me to do. But I'm going to tell the people walking out of the Kingdom Hall the reason why.
Yeah.
So nobody said that I couldn't do that. So
Right.
the following week, they announced it. Brother Ferrin is no longer a ministerial servant. And they don't really, spin it much. That's all they said.
Right.
So I stood at that back door, and as the people were leaving the Kingdom Hall, I told every one of them, Sister Nelson, let me just share something with you. I was removed because I wasn't getting enough time in. I told everybody that, because what's running through their mind?
Right.
They're gonna think that you were some type of pervert or something. So I let them all be aware of that, and at least I got my 2 cents worth in. But I thought that was a scandalous thing. I thought that was a rotten thing to do to somebody.
Very cold and uncompassionate, Rick, and to smear your name in front of the whole congregation. They had absolutely no concern or respect for you, your family, or your name. And then the other result was, at least it was bittersweet. That was the bitter part. The sweet part was you had fewer responsibilities being a ministerial servant, Rick. So that gave you more time with your family and your business.
Oh, in fact, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. Yeah. It didn't, but what really irritated me is, my former wife felt bad. She thought it was her fault. Oh. She now you see the guilt. Yeah, not only do they make the person that's being removed guilty, but I didn't feel guilt, but my former wife did. She said, gee, Rick, am I holding you back? I said, no, you're not. No, you're not. I don't care. I don't want to be one anyways. Mm-hmm. So, but you can see the damage. You can see the problems they can create in a person's life. Mm-hmm. They do it without even thinking of the ramifications of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very true.
Rick, it brings back a memory when you alluded to the fact that they eliminated you, it deleted you as a ministerial servant. I stepped down from being a ministerial servant because I knew I was going to be telling the elders that I was an adulterer. And I lived, as you know, almost right across the street from the Kingdom Hall. I could throw a football from my backyard right into the parking lot. So I left as soon as I could right after that meeting. I just only been in the house like 2 minutes, and the phone rings. It's one of the elders. Brother Borg, you have to come back to the meeting. You got to return your Kingdom Hall key. And I'm saying, you know what? Fine. You want your damn key back? I'll give you your key. But I'm not. I used to, every Sunday morning, I'd get up early and I'd mow the lawn over there and pick up any cans of papers or anything that's in the lawn. And I used to be the literature servant and the Kingdom Hall servant. And you know what? It was a relief. But that's how they are. They called me up at home, come back to the meeting and give us the key. Like, because I stepped down from that position, you know, I could no longer be trusted. Give me back the key to the Kingdom Hall. Mm-hmm. I just thought I'd throw that out there. You reminded me of that. At least I don't have anybody telling the whole world that I pushed my wife down the stairs and I murdered her. I'm sure you've gone through a lot. I'm sure you have, Rick.
Well, what it is, Dick, is water off a duck's back. You know, I'm not sure. I do know one thing that I am sure of, though the Watchtower has no passion, they have no love at all. They're very, very misguided. They're twisted in their thinking. They're polluted. Let's just go with that. Everything they say, everything that comes out of their mouth is toxic, and in the most part, it's always a lie. Yeah. But it's amazing to me that, you know, people have been so hurt, and they want to speak up about it. We do have some people calling in right now, so should we bring them on or what?
Yeah, it sounds good. I know Sharon's one of them.
All right, so let's go to 312. Looks like Chicago, Illinois. Come on, Chicago.
Hi, this is Stefan. I'll be very brief so somebody else can talk. You talk about abuse in the Watchtower. This was a person who I was very close to. Now we barely speak because of Watchtower. But he was disfellowshipped for 18 years. 18 years. Never was told why he was disfellowshipped. This body of elders ramrodded him into being disfellowshipped. They gave him marking talks to build up to what they had planned on doing. And I could see the writing on the wall. And I kept telling him, hey, you need to go to another congregation. They obviously don't want you there. They're creating a hostile environment. You're not taking the hint. Oh, they're not going to run me away and so forth and so on. He kept going. So they gave him a market talk. And the next thing you know, he was disfellowshipped. What I found interesting is after that, he moved congregations, which he should have done ahead of time, but after the fact, he went to that congregation about 2-3 years, put in a reinstatement letter, flatly rejected. Transferred to another congregation, same thing. After 2 years, flatly rejected. He would always go back to the same body of elders, and they would deny it for whatever reason. They was never even told why, not to mention the fact he wasn't told why he was disfellowshipped in the first place.
Yeah, right.
And this went on, like I said, for 18 years. He even had a circuit overseer, might have even been a district, I don't remember. And the district overseer knew him. And he said, you know what? He said, I'm going to get you. He got him at a circuit assembly or district assembly. He said, I'm going to get you reinstated. I know you. I've seen you since you were a kid. I've seen you at the quick meals. I'm going to get you reinstated. And he said, well, what were you disfellowshipped for? He said, you know, they never told me. He said, they were going back and forth and just trying to make me look like this bad. He said, I never did anything. He said, okay, don't worry about it. I'm going to call Bethel. I'm going to call the headquarters. I'm going to pull strings. I'm going to get you reinstated. He said, see me, call me a week from now. He calls him a week from now, and he said, you know what? He said, there is nothing I can do. He says, I don't know what's going on with these brothers. He says, but they are never going to reinstate you. And this is what a circuit overseer told him. He said, if I were you, I would just find me a good woman to settle down with, have some kids, and spend the rest of my life, you know, being happy that way, and forget this Watchtower stuff. This is what a circuit overseer told him. Wow. This is how I think the Watchtower doesn't even believe the nonsense that they tell people. Yeah. And he got reinstated, and the only reason why is because he went to this one particular congregation where the entire elder body were either brothers or brothers-in-law. So they were all, you know, well connected. It wasn't really anybody outside of their family. Yeah. And there were a ton of single sisters. The single sisters started getting up to these elders about getting this guy reinstated because maybe one of them, he might want to get married or something. And that was kind of the only reason. And he started the project. They insisted that he put in a reinstatement letter. He said, no, I'm not even going to take myself through that. Get my hopes up. And then the brothers come back and say no, and there's nothing they can do. And they said, no, we're going to reinstate you. We don't care what they say. But put your letter. So he put his letter in, and they came back to him, and they said, listen, we are ready to reinstate you, but under one condition. And then he said, well, what's that? He said, the condition is that you never tell the other witnesses what happened to you. You can't tell them that you were unfairly disfellowshipped, never told why, every reinstatement, like you can't speak of this. You can not speak of this. We'll reinstate you at the next meeting. If you can't do that, we can't reinstate you. That was the only way that he got reinstated. And that just really blew my mind when he sat down and really told me that full story.
Wow. Stephan, that's very interesting. As you know, we've had our friend Joe Dario come in, and Joe was in the organization for 49 years, and he was an elder for how many years, Rich?
17.
Yeah, something like that, many, many years. And he has said that it depends, when it comes to reinstatement, it depends on the body of elders. And every body of elders is different, and it's very, very political. And so you just proved that. You really did. It's the same thing. It depends on the body of elders. Mm-hmm. And Larry John Wayne had a similar situation. He was disfellowshipped for 3.5 years. His father was a PO, and they had him come crawling back and begging and everything else after 3.5 years.
Sure.
And then when he finally got reinstated, that's all he wanted to do was be reinstated. And then he left. He left for good. But it's very political. We were all taught to be neutral, no part of the world. That's a bunch of lies. It's very political. Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah. And I'll tell you just a very quick story that just blew my mind. I just learned this about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
The last congregation that I attended, I was there for probably about 14 years before I eventually started to wake up and eventually left. But the whole time, there was this one brother who was a ministerial servant. And of course, he just tried everything in his power to get appointed an elder. Nobody understood why. And, and he was always kind of moaning about the fact that he can't seem to get appointed an elder. And he had been a ministerial servant even before I got there. So he was probably a ministerial servant about 20 years.
Okay.
And there was this other brother, and this ties into something that Mr. Perrin talked about earlier about getting out of your marriage. This brother walked away from his marriage, walked away from the organization. He was disfellowshipped probably 8 of the 16 years. 8 of the 16 years that I was attended that conference.
Say that part again, Stephan. I'm sorry.
What happened is Stephan got cut off.
Oh, okay.
Mark, I'm going to ask you to mute your phone. Your phone, Mark. We're having some issues here. Came on and messed things up. So mute your phone. If you're not talking, when I open up the phone lines, fine. Stephan will be right back. Stephan, you're back with us. Sorry you were cut off by mistake. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to fly through this because I want to hear other people. So anyway, after all this time, of course, I'm no longer a witness. I haven't been stepped foot in the Kingdom Hall in almost 7 years. I find out the other day, this brother who was disfellowshipped because he left his wife, and like I said, he was disfellowshipped the entire time just about that I was there. And he got reinstated at some point. This same brother, they just appointed him an elder. So within a 6-year period, he was reinstated, and now he's an elder. This other brother, who was a ministerial servant, faithful ministerial servant, all that time, never got appointed. And so when the person told me this, I said, let me ask you a question about, and I brought up this other brother who had been a minister. I said, is he an elder? They said, oh yeah, they appointed him elder at the same time. I said, so you're telling me that this brother, who was a faithful ministerial servant at all the meetings, doing the parts, out in the ministry, taking out the group, taking the trash, cutting the grass, doing everything they asked him to do for 20-something years. They want to appoint him. Then you bring this guy back who left his wife, everybody knows, in the whole story, the saga, this fellowship for who knows how long, and they make both of them an elder on the same night. I said, that doesn't tell you something's wrong with this organization.
Wow.
And they just looked at me like they couldn't even understand what I was saying. But to Ms. Connie's point about the politics, that really
very much so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you. Yeah.
Star 6. Anybody else wants to come on?
Sharon, if
Tell
you'd
us
like
a
to
story.
come on in, honey. Sharon's from North Carolina. We're actually in South Carolina. But Sharon's got, oh boy, does she have a story to tell you. We've always heard
Connie.
Hey honey, how you doing?
Okay.
Let me give a little preface so the audience can hear. Some of you might have heard way back when, I know when I was a witness, I heard a story of there was wife swapping going on in some of the congregations. And I never knew what congregation that was. I never knew what state it was. I had lived in California. And anyway, you sort of keep those kinds of stories in the back of your head. And then lo and behold, I meet Sharon on Facebook, and we become friends and everything. And she's got her beautiful New York, Long Island accent, so you'll hear it in just a minute. But anyway, Sharon can tell you the lowdown on the wife swapping because it happened to be in her congregation. So go ahead, sis. Tell the audience what you know.
Okay. All right, let's see. Where do I start? Okay, it all began when I found out my mother was sleeping with a 14-year-old. This is how it all started. I called the brothers because it didn't dawn on me to call police because you call the brothers.
Right.
So we called the brothers.
Yeah.
They come to my house. There's a huge meeting in my house.
Yeah.
With my brothers and sisters, my father, his parents, his brother and sister. They were all in my house.
And your father was a PO,
elders,
right, Sharon? Excuse me, honey. Your father was a
Excuse
PO.
me?
Your father was the presiding
He was
overseer.
just an elder at this
At the
point.
time.
He was just
Okay.
an elder at this point.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So what happened was when I called those brothers and they got this big meeting together, that it was don't tell don't tell anybody in the congregation what's going on.
Right.
And they threatened that if anybody did speak of it, that they would be disfellowshipped. And I said, even if it's true? And they said,
Even if
yes.
it's true.
And this guy is going to start again, isn't he? So then they were like, yes, even if it's true, do not speak about it in this congregation. Now, that particular congregation, 4 other congregations met in that congregation.
Okay. 4 congregations met
Same
that one
building.
Kingdom Hall.
This was in Coram, Long Island, okay?
Yep.
4 different congregations met there.
Okay.
So what happened was, because my family, with my mother doing this, it just exploded, making everything that was going on in the congregation come out.
Right.
So from what we found out, when my mother ran away with the 14-year-old, we found out that in those 4 congregations, they
Can't
were
make this
wife
stuff up.
swapping.
Yeah. You can't make this
This
stuff
was
up.
my
Got
own
it.
congregation,
Yeah. In your own congregation.
okay?
Yes.
My own congregation. 16 elders were removed. 16. So what happened
1-6.
was they had to have brothers from Bethel come out every week to do the meetings because they just couldn't rely on anybody.
Right.
That was one thing. Go ahead.
Well, so many of them were affected. There were 16 elders in those 4 congregations that were wife swapping, is what you're saying, Sharon, right?
Yes.
Got
Yes,
it.
I knew
Okay.
the elders personally. This
Yeah.
is firsthand information. I am not spreading rumors. I was there.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
This was around 1978, this was. Okay? There was a
Muted.
I even knew that adults could have sex with children. It never dawned on me.
Right.
Raised in Wachtower, you don't think of that stuff.
Right.
And then for it
Exactly.
to be your own mother, it didn't go over very well. So when they said that we couldn't talk about it, I went a couple of towns over to another congregation and I told them what my mother did.
Yeah. Because your mom was a pedophile.
And that was on I believe it was the Tuesday night study by Thursday night, the ministry school, it was throughout the entire East End of Long Island.
Hold on.
With this guy.
Hold on 1 second.
She can't hear you. Yeah. Hold on, Sharon. Not sure what happened to the sound.
Hang in there, folks. We'll
Yeah.
have this little glitch fixed in a minute.
Yeah, her voice just sort of disappeared.
Does anybody want to come on while we're waiting for Sharon to come on? So, a couple of short sentences from anybody?
I'm not sure if the sound's working. Let's see.
Is anybody in the audience hearing us?
I would have gone.
Hold on 1 second.
When Artie's
Okay.
wife
Oh, she can't.
Sharon.
gone and she got shot in the face. It was small caliber. I think it was like a 22.
Yeah. Sharon, hold on. Sharon, hold on.
Shot in the face.
Sharon, hold on 1 second.
Can't hear you, Rick.
Sharon,
This family.
Sharon, can
On the East End.
What happened?
Rick, she can't hear you.
Dad won. Oh yeah, I was
I'll call her. Hold on.
hold on.
They went to Canada
What?
for an assembly.
She can't hear.
Sharon,
That assembly.
can you hold on 1 second?
Rick, Sharon can't hear you, but Connie's calling her up on the phone.
Be awake on putting the dead guy.
Gilbert, 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 can you hear me? Excuse me 1 second. Excuse me 1 second, friends. Gilbert, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Gilbert? I have no idea why. I have no idea what's going on here. Well, hold on 1 second. Well, hold on 1 second, folks. I'm not sure what's going on here. Why? Can we hold on here?
Yeah, she's on the phone, Rick. She didn't know that we were not able to hear her.
Okay.
She's on standby on my phone.
All right,
right now.
I'm trying to figure out why Gilbert's coming on here. I have no idea why he's on here. I cannot find the link to this. You guys just stay with us here. We got some technical
it's for Gilbert.
issues going on.
It's for Gilbert.
Gilbert
It's
is
the
on
link
here
for
somewhere,
Gilbert.
someplace.
you.
I'm
Hold
not
on.
sure. Gilbert, can you hear me, Gilbert? What are you on? Why are you coming through here on this program? Yeah.
He's coming on too early.
Can you just stop it right now? Yeah.
Yeah, Gilbert's coming on, and it's throwing our show off, honey. Hold
Yeah,
on.
it's throwing some curves here. So can you disconnect Gilbert for right now, because we're hearing you on the Connie and Dick show. For some reason, I can't see why. So hold on, okay? So okay, I think we do have that settled right now. Let's get back in. Let's see if we can't get Sharon back with us.
You want to go ahead and see if you can talk, honey?
Sharon, you back with us?
Yeah. Can you hear Rick? Can you hear Rick, Sharon?
Hold on 1 second. Let me hold on 1 second. Let me just do something here. We got some issues going on, but let's get it done right now. Redial. Okay. We'll get Sharon back on here. Maybe the phone went off. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But we had Gilbert coming on, but just hold on with us. Just hold on with us.
Thank you for joining in.
We'll be right back
To
in.
speak up and talk, press *6 on your telephone. When you are
No, when you do a live program, anything could happen. So we just had some technical issues. So let's just see what happens here. Gilbert was coming on. I'm not sure why that was, but okay, let's bring Sharon back on. Okay, so let's do that right now. Give us a second. Okay, let's get that back on. All right, let's get them back on. Let's get Sharon back on with us. All right.
Please log in and delete recordings or purchase more storage from your account. All participants are muted.
Okay, Sharon, I think you're back on with us. Okay, Sharon? Okay, see if we
Can
can
you
get.
hear me?
We can
Yes,
hear you
yes.
now, Sharon. Yeah, so some reason we had a snafu going on here. So we're all set now. We're back in action. Go ahead, Sharon.
Okay, where was I? Because I don't want to repeat myself.
Well, let's see, honey, you were talking about your mother was the pedophile, and when the news hit and everybody came from the congregation and so forth, came to your house, everything sort of hit the fan
Okay.
right there. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they told us not to speak about it at all in the congregation, or you'd be disfellowship for slander.
Right.
So I said, even if it's true, and they said yes. So I went a couple of towns over to another congregation and told them there. By the time Thursday rolled around for ministry school, the whole East End knew about what was going on.
Yeah.
And that was just the Quorum congregation.
And what year was that, Sharon?
That 1978.
Right. Okay. So that was, you had 16 elders and 16 women, and they were all wife swapping.
Yeah,
and just
that we know. Yeah, they were all swapping all the different congregations that met in Quorum, because it was Quorum West, Quorum East, Quorum Regular, and Middle Island. They all met in the one hall.
Yeah. And this was in Long Island, New York.
Yes, it was.
Right.
Yes, it was.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
Off of Granny Road, off of 112. I could tell you exactly where it was. I know where it was because I was there.
Yep.
And then out on the East End with one of the original congregations, Spionk, there was an elder there, and he was. I know this firsthand. Everything I'm saying is firsthand information. Nobody told me. I am very much aware because I was there.
Right.
He was comforting a new sister, and her husband did not go for that. He was not too happy about that. So he came in on a Thursday night book study, ministry school, with a gun. And it took a few elders to wrestle him to the ground, but he took aim at the elder Artie, and his wife Ann stepped in front. She got shot in the face. She didn't die because it was a small caliber.
Right.
But she got shot in the face, and then he had to step down. And the same thing with this family. They went to an assembly in Canada, and their oldest son, Dane, my father wanted me to marry him. He was 19 and I was 14, but you know how it is in Wachtower land. Doesn't matter your age, you can get married.
Right.
He drowned while they were there at this assembly. Now, instead of them going to the coroner's office to be with their son, they went back to the assembly. And then it was in one of the awakes how they put the J God first before their son, who had just died. He just died. They went back to the assembly. So they were like, you know, they were held up as prestige, you know, the family to look after when you're out there. You know, these are them. I can't say their name. I don't want anybody.
Right. Right.
You know,
Well, it's like they were the shining star, theocratic family in the congregation.
Yes.
Look at us. And then their example was
daughters
placed
were
in their way.
pioneers.
Right.
Okay. And the girls went on a pioneer cruise one summer. I think I was 17 at this time.
Yeah.
And the one that my father would always like hold up against me, her name was Debbie. Oh, but why don't you in service like Debbie? Why can't you be like Debbie?
She's a shining pioneer. Mm-hmm.
Debbie went on a cruise, came home pregnant. So come on, Miss Pioneer.
Honey, she wasn't reading her Bible all the time on the cruise, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's what they were doing, walking the decks with a Bible.
That's right. Okay. Now, Sharon, I wanted to go back because, you know, you've mentioned 3 different examples. Well, actually 4, because you said your mom was a pedophile. So anyway, that was interesting. That had to be a different experience to find out. I mean, most
yeah.
pedophiles are men, but there are a few pedophile women, and your
Oh,
mom
yeah.
had to be one of them. Yeah, yeah. So,
Right. I mean,
what-
Connie, you were in my living room when I said to you that I wasn't sure whether the people in our neighborhood that we were allowed to hang out with every now and then, my mother would pick one of those people.
Yeah.
Now, these are worldly people.
right?
They would come to our house,
Yeah.
and she would go in the bedroom with them and lock the door. And
Right.
it wasn't until you were in my living room last year, Connie,
Yeah.
that I said to you, "Oh my God, remember?"
Yes, I do.
I thought I was complicit because I was the one calling them to come over,
Right.
and I didn't even realize that that was going on. I mean,
Right.
how many kids did it happen to? I have no
Right.
idea. I have no clue.
Now, your mother passed away just like a couple years
2
ago.
years ago, May, yeah.
2 years ago, Sharon. Yep. Yep. And
Yeah.
she's supposed to
I
still
get to cry
been
for her.
right. And she's supposed to still been a good example for the congregation, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
because they gave very big donations because they ran away to Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
came back when he turned 18. They got married, and they were married until she died.
Okay, now let's slow down a little bit.
the life
So
out of him.
how old was her boyfriend? He was
25 years younger, 4 years younger than me.
so when she was interested in him, how he was a teenager. How young was he, Sharon, when they started to
He was
Have a-
14. 14.
he was 14. Mm-hmm. And he was
Yes.
a JW. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And your mom was
Oh,
how
yeah.
old? How old was your mom?
My mother, 41.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And the other thing, honey, now the other situation, when you spoke about the wife swapping, that was interesting. So let's go to that.
Yeah.
So you had 16 elders and
Well,
wives
when
and their
the elders from Brooklyn came out
okay.
to investigate the pedophilia, which at that time I didn't know that's what the word was.
Right.
But they came out, Bethel Brothers came out to investigate. That's when they found out about the wife swapping. It was
Wow.
in the same congregation. So my mother doing that exploded 4 congregations, just exploded them. Because
So all-
the elders were removed.
Yeah, all the elders were removed. Okay, and then so
Yeah.
the Bethel elders came in and sort of had to take over some of the responsibilities of the congregations.
Yes, they had to, yes.
Right.
And that went on for about 3-4 months that we
Wow.
had different brothers from Bethel coming.
Wow. Wow. I remember hearing that. What a small world it is, Sharon, that you and I met, and then you happened to tell me, oh, that
Yeah.
was in my congregation. And it's like, holy mackerel. Yeah,
Yeah.
it could have been anywhere in the world, but it happened to be in your, one of the total of 4 congregations,
Yeah.
right in your neck of the woods. And then I think it's very sad about the story about that one brother, Dane, who was somebody that you and your
Yeah.
family knew very, very well. In fact, if it was your father's wish, he would have had you marry him. And you were
Yes.
like about 14 and Dane was about 19 or 20. And you folks were originally from New York. And then that family went up to Canada for the assembly. I guess it was a district convention, is what I'm thinking.
Yes.
And so what happened is the family went swimming and Dane apparently drowned. Maybe there was an undercurrent or something and he drowned.
Yeah,
And the
he drowned,
coroner's
yeah.
office up in Canada, they have to do things legally. And they wanted the father to come down to the
And
coroner's
the
office.
mother to be there, yes, but
To
they didn't
verify.
know. They went to the assembly. They returned to the assembly and went the following day. I'm
Right.
sorry, I lost a child.
Yeah.
I would be there with my child. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
no-
you
no-
don't
no-
have to
no-
be
no-
sorry.
no
But the
doubt.
thing
It's,
is,
No, excuse me, Constance. I just want
That's
to, in fact, Sharon, just hold on for a second. My goodness, you're telling a story here tonight that a lot of people want to respond on. So
Yeah.
let's just listen here for a second. Stay with us, Sharon. Don't go anywhere. We
Okay.
got someone wanting to come in here. We got 224. What did you want to say, 224? 224, you're on with us. Go ahead. Did you want to say something?
Hello?
Yeah,
On?
you're on. Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Go
Yes.
go ahead.
Hello?
You're on with
Hello?
us. You're
Am I
on with us. Go ahead.
Oh,
You're
hello
on.
there.
Yep.
This is Lloyd Evans, and I am a sexual degenerate. I love touching my penis
Well,
while preparing.
hold on one
this
second.
food.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you
Yeah.
need a doctor. Get off the
Johnny,
line.
Light, totally real.
That sounds like his voice.
No.
It's
It's probably AI.
So that's
Sorry, AI. Some pervert forgetful.
That's yeah. That's
Yeah, we've had words before, Mr. John Evans. Get off the line. Nobody wants to hear your garbage.
yeah. There you go. All right. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry, Sharon, but they come in here. I have all these numbers coming through, so he's not going to speak up again. So go ahead, Sharon. You're on with us.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Okay, Connie, where we going?
Okay, honey. Well, what I was going to say, Sharon, is just think about it. You have a son who just drowned accidentally, of course.
Yeah.
And you're up in a convention in Canada. It's not even in the United States, in New York. You're in unknown territory, and you're up there for the convention. And this horrible accident happens to your family, and yet you can't go to the coroner's office because legally they have to have you as the parents verify the body that it really is your son to identify him. And then so the
Right.
parents say, well, we have a convention where Jehovah's Witnesses, and we've got to go to the convention. That's more important than this right now. I mean, the coroner must have thought they were off their rocker. That's one issue. The other issue is, how in the heck are you going to sit there and concentrate and enjoy the convention and listen to any of it when your son just drowned? I mean, really? Are you crazy?
There's no love in Watchtower. There is no love whatsoever.
No.
None.
There's not.
That's why they were able to just be robotic and go through the motion. Oh yeah, my son died, but I have to sit here and sing a song. Give me a break.
Well, and their attitude is, well, he'll be resurrected, in the new system, in the new order, So we'll see him again. I mean, it's just.
But along with that, Connie, when Lazarus died, even though the Lord knew he could raise him, he still wept.
Oh, sure he did. Mm-hmm. Sure he did, Sharon.
So what is wrong with these people? What is wrong with them? And this is the family that was held up like the sterling prize. You have to be like them. They have their daughters, they're pioneers. And I don't know if anybody heard this before, but the one that my father would always compare me to, Debbie.
Yeah.
They went off on a pioneer's cruise.
Yeah.
During one summer, I was about 17, and Debbie came home pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these are the pioneers that you're holding up, and you want your daughters to be like them.
Right. Well, and then her father, do I understand it correctly? Her father was an elder, was he?
Yes.
Yeah. So he had to step down because she got knocked up. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Yeah. He had to step down, but he had to step down before that.
Mm-hmm.
They reinstated him as an elder, but he had to step down before that because of the wife with the husband coming in and shooting him.
Oh yeah.
And the wife got hit in the face. Ann got hit in the face. He got hit in the arm.
Okay, now that's the other thing.
You can go on either. Go ahead.
Well, the thing is, honey, the husband that came in and shot the woman in the face, he was the husband. And was he not a witness? Was he?
Was comforting, yes.
Was he a witness, Sharon, or no?
His wife.
But honey, was he a witness or no?
No. He hated the witnesses.
Yeah, he hated the witnesses. Wow, you had a lot of drama going on in your Kingdom Hall. That's for darn sure.
You're not kidding. And that Kingdom Hall, I think, was the model and the reason, because this happened in the early 80s.
Yeah.
Why the now Kingdom Halls don't have windows, because that Kingdom Hall had window for every seat.
Oh.
It was almost like a church.
Yeah.
There was a window. You could look out every window. Wherever you sat in the Kingdom Hall, there was a window for you to look out.
Wow.
They don't have windows anymore.
Well, and now the Kingdom Halls have, tightened up the security, that they have a security button you have to push. They have so much paranoia in the Kingdom Halls now that, a lot of the Kingdom Halls have fences around it that are a lock gate type of situation. And once you can get in there,
like they're putting much trust in what they believe.
that's it. And then try to get in the Kingdom Hall. There's always a brother at the door to see if you are really a JW or a Bible study or whatever. They're paranoid because so many people are upset and people are going ballistic on them. Mm-hmm. And that sister that was shot in the face, did she ever survive? Or I can only imagine how.
Oh, yeah, she survived. She survived. It was Artie's wife. She survived, and she never divorced him. Matter of fact, they had another child after this, and the child's name was Little Al, we called him.
Yeah.
And he didn't live past the age of 6. He had a brain tumor, and he passed. Little Al.
Oh,
it was very, very sad.
Yeah, they had a lot of tragedy going on in that family.
Yes.
Wow, Sharon. Wow.
Yes, none of their sons lived. Little Artie died, Little Al died, and Dane died. The 3 boys, they died. The girls are still alive, but the boys died.
Whatever happened to the sister that got pregnant on the cruise ship that was a pioneer, and whatever happened to her?
She married a worldly guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And do you know if any of those 16 elders were ever reinstated or they were disfellowship for wife swapping?
No, because once I left quorum, no.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think they were, because my brother is still in that congregation. My brother, he's never been asked to be a ministerial servant or anything. And I think my parents, what they did had a lot to do with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they made my father a PO.
Yeah. Yeah. And your father is still an elder today, Sharon?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Still a PO. Yes, he is.
Yeah. And I would just like to go back to the one thought that family that had their son accidentally drowned that was in Canada.
Yeah.
You know, they were a shining example to Wachtower because they were, like you said, it was in one of the Awake magazines that, oh, look at our spiritually theocratic family here. They're setting such a wonderful example. Their son died, but yet they're so devoted to Jehovah, and they're, still continue to go to the convention regardless of their loss. That's what you were saying, that it was in the Awake magazine.
And to me, that's really a big sign of mental illness.
Sure it is.
You can't even show consideration or, compassion for your own child, that you have to go make a show to other people, and your kid just died. I to this day, I just can't, I don't understand that.
Well, and you had a child pass away, so you certainly understand that pain very deeply, Sharon,
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it'll be 10 years, and that pain is not diminished. It has not gone away. So I don't understand how somebody could lose their eldest son, their firstborn, and then go to an assembly instead of going to the coroner's office. It boggled a lot of people at that time in our congregation. All the people whose minds were boggled by that act, they're all gone. They all left Wachtower.
They left? They left, Sharon?
They left, yeah.
Yeah.
They left,
yeah. Because you got to ask yourself, how in the world can you go back to the assembly and sit there and listen to all the talks back in the day? They didn't have the media center like they have today. And how are you able to really even focus and concentrate and enjoy anything there at that time when you've had a horrible, horrific tragedy just happen in your life? I mean, anyone in their right mind.
There were things that you have to do once that happens. There were arrangements to make. It's not like, you're taking your dog to a vet and they die, and you can always have them cremated with other dogs. This is your child.
Right.
And you're going to put an assembly above your own flesh and blood?
Yeah. Well, it just goes to show how Wachtower doesn't really care about anybody except their own needs, and anybody that really basically worships them and are complete loyalists to the organization, regardless of who you've lost in your family, regardless of any sacrifices you've made in your own life, regardless of anything. Wachtower is just so heartless.
They're a god.
They're a
The
god.
Watchtower is
They're a god.
idolatry.
Yeah, they are, Sharon. Yes, they are. And if you worship in, then they love you, and you're such a wonderful example. But if you're a decent person that has a brain, and you have a life of your own in your family,
Heart.
and you have a heart, honey, you have a heart. Yeah, for sure. Well, sweetheart, I want to thank you so much for sharing that, because that was quite a few examples there, and I think the audience could really benefit from that, Sharon. So thank you, sweetheart,
Yeah.
for that. Mm-hmm.
No problem. I'm going to mute myself now. Love you guys.
Love you too, honey. Thank you.
Well, Sharon, thank you for coming on here tonight. My goodness, I can't believe the stuff that you are aware of. You have really been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower, as we say. Well, no doubt about it, Sharon. My goodness, you keep cranking away at it, my girl. You have been really hurt by this organization, but I'm so glad to see you doing so good now. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. All right. Well, what do you think, Dick and Constance? My goodness gracious, we have a lot of people still wanting to come on. I know.
Can I say one just quick thing, Rick, for the audience that don't really know Sharon? She was born and raised in, and she was in for 53 years. That says a lot. She was a witness for 53 years. She finally woke up.
Yeah. So if the people listening in here, I mean, sometimes we hear these extreme stories.
Yeah.
And, people write me, was she really real, or was that a plant?
This is real.
That is a real woman.
100%.
That woman has been hurt by the Watchtower organization ever since she was a young girl. So we give her a lot of credit for coming on here and telling her story. Well, my folks, have you been touched by the tentacles? Have you been involved in a scandal? I mean, did anyone ever bring something up about you and it really bothered you and it caused some difficulty?
Tonight, my goodness, I can't believe the stuff that you are aware of. You have really been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower, as we say. Well, no.
Star 6, folks.
Oh, wait, he's trying to.
I know he is.
Sweetheart.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of people coming in. So listen, why don't you want to come on, say hello? Go ahead and do it. Who wants to come on? Say hello to Constance. Say hello to Dick Borgie. You're on with us. Go ahead. Let's go with 717.
I just wanted to tell you that it's what Sharon's been saying. It's serious. Putting an assembly before your own son who just died. Well, that's just unacceptable.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah.
In fact, it's almost unbelievable. I'm sure there's people listening to this program tonight that are saying, did that really happen? Now, put your thinking caps on here, people who are involved with the Watchtower. Could that have happened? Of course it would. People put the Watchtower ahead of everything. Even their poor son dying, well, we'll be loyal. We'll show up at the convention. Jeez, I mean, can you believe that? I can't believe it. Let's go to let's see what else we got here. We got a lot of people calling in. Let's go to 224. 224, you're on with us. 224? No? Okay. So let's go with 717 again. 717 again. Maybe it's the same one.
It shows you that this organization has proven to be very demonic, and that it deserves to go defunct eventually.
Well, I'm glad you say that. I mean, Connie and Dick will agree with it as well. I mean, they are Christian. They're Christian as well. I mean, it is demonic. A lot of people listening in, they're not of the Christian understanding. So they're saying that's a bunch of baloney. But yeah, go ahead.
It makes me want to go. I've been wanting to go to war against this organization ever since I waking up being a PIMQ. Then right now I'm PIMO.
Well, we're glad to hear you're PIMO. So we're glad you're listening into the 6 screens. So can you, what really stands out in your mind tonight? I mean, you heard Sharon come on. You heard some other things going on here in the Watchtower. What would you think is the most evil thing the Watchtower is involved with? Love to hear you say that.
The United Nations, they,
Mm.
when doing it, that's act of hypocrisy and the cover up of the molestation cases, things like that, and how God is bringing retribution for all that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, Connie and Dick, you think this man that's calling in tonight, is he, you think he gets it or what?
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah, I think so. I think, Rick, you've blessed a lot of people
Yeah.
with 6 screens. And for close to 20 years now, you've been exposing,
Mhm.
like nobody else, how corrupt these people are,
Mhm.
how they flip-flop on doctrine, how they get, their policies are corrupt. They have a loose cannon,
Mhm.
and it's called disfellowshipping.
Mhm.
Some people can do the same thing as another person, and one person will get away with it, and another person will be disfellowshipped. I was speaking to Connie earlier this evening, we were talking about the program, and brothers that Rick, over in the Chelmsford congregation, you had one handsome brother, he was single, and he was having an affair with one of the elders' wife. And the elder caught on to it, but he wanted to be really sure that he had the goods on his wife and his brother. So he hired a private investigator. Now, not many witnesses have the money to be able to do that, but this brother did. Anyway, they caught him, videotape, just like, on cheaters, just like that.
Mhm.
And what they decided to do, because it was getting around, they decided to publicly reprove them both, but they didn't do it the same night. They did one reproving of the brother, and then the next week reproving of the sister. And the reason they did that, because they didn't want people to connect their being publicly reproved with maybe sexual conduct. The other problem was, and this is how politics in the JW world works, the brother that was innocent, his wife was cheating on him, he was an elder. So if you disfellowship or put public reproof on the sister, theoretically, you're supposed to step down
On his wife.
on his wife. But it just depends on the
The body of
congregation.
elders.
Like Joe Dario said,
Yeah.
it just depends on your elders, because nobody checks the hands of the elders, so they can have one policy in one congregation, go to another congregation, and there's another policy.
Mm.
And as I alluded to earlier in your program, Rick, that elders book, Shepherding the Flock, especially when it comes to this fellowshipping, it's paragraph after paragraph after paragraph.
Pages.
Yeah, I mean,
Pages
it's just
long.
chapters. It's just Clarence Darrow could read that and decipher that.
Well, we've been watching it on Vern, Fixing My Faith.
Fixing My
And
Faith.
he comes on every Monday night. And the part about disfellowshipping, it takes like 3 weeks just to go through all the pages, right?
What elder has time for that? Not only you have to make the 5 crazy meetings they make, how many meetings during the week for disfellowshipping, or one brother watched an R-rated movie and have to get 3 elders together and see if they're going to disfellowship him, or someone drank too many beers one night.
Well, and they're not professionals.
They're
They're
not,
not
exactly.
professionals. They're not therapists. They're not counselors. They're not professionals whatsoever. And so they're trying to deal with a lot of human behavior that's going on in the congregation. When it comes to disfellowshipping, we know that a lot of it has to do with sexual immorality. They're not even trained for that. So, these elders are way over their head, and yet, they think they know what they're doing, and they don't. And they're impacting so many people's lives in such a severe way that it's horrible, the devastational effects it has on people.
Well, Constance, I mean, that's all going to be changing. As we said tonight on JW World News, we got the August 2024 edition of the Watchtower out, the study edition. And there's monumental changes in there concerning disfellowshipping. They're going to take a lot of the burden of it, a lot of the responsibility of it off of the elders' chest. They're putting it on the congregants. They're putting it on the rank and file. As far as disfellowshipping and marking and all of the things the Watchtower has done so hideously in the last 100 years, that's all going to change. The Watchtower now is going to relieve the elders from being judges. They're not going to judge. Only in a few instances they're going to judge. But other than that, the Watchtower is leaving up to the congregants to judge the people. Now, this is for legal reasons. So this will take a big burden off of the elders, but it's going to put a big burden on I would like to know, how is it, if I was a rank and file member in the Jehovah's Witness organization today, how is it that I am going to be acting as a judge? So, you got to hear things through the grapevine. Brother Smith did this to who or whatever. And, how do you really put this all together? There's going to be a lot of gossip going on.
Right. That's exactly right.
There's going to be people that are going to be maybe not totally shunned, but they're not going to be invited to get-togethers. They're not going to be able to be invited over to other witnesses' homes because some witnesses are going to put a label on them. And the Kingdom Halls are a hotbed of gossip, so it's going to spread very fast. I can only see what's going to happen in the future. I have no idea, Constance.
Well, I think, Rick, the reason why that's happening is because Watchtower never changes anything unless it's involved in lawsuits. So, the governing body members, they basically, when it comes to CSA cases and all the blue envelopes and everything that they have to hide and send to the service department, the legal department, I should say, it's the elders that are going to be thrown under the bus when it comes to the fact that they're not reporting child sexual abuses to the authorities. They just consider it a sin. So it's all blowing up in Watchtower's faces now, and the elders are, complaining, and probably a lot of them have left because it's like, I'm not dealing with this. We're told what to do from the governing body, and then we're told from the legal department, and now you're going to make us the scapegoats. So even if the elders get out of the picture, Rick, and it's just the congregants, where's the love in the organization? There is no love. Everyone's going to be snitching on everybody else. And as if that's not going on already. Who in the heck would want to be a part of this organization when you've got people policing you 24/7? And what a destructive, toxic environment.
Well, it really, really is. Let's bring on 978. I think that's Susan, my wife. Go ahead, Susan.
Yeah.
I was wondering, they're trying to, for legal reasons, they're trying to dump it on each individual Jehovah's Witness. I get that. But usually, and I don't know if it's not in the article, but usually they have some kind of scriptural precedent for doing this. Have they even mentioned the Bible or any kind of scripture? I know we don't talk about the religion, but they're supposed to be a Christian organization. So what's their justification biblically for doing this?
Right. Good point, Susan. Well, in Shepherding the Flock book, they change it on an average every 6 to 8 months, which says that all the rules and regulations as elders on being able to, shepherd the flock in the congregation keeps changing. And why does it keep changing? It keeps changing because of all the lawsuits. That's why.
The Watchtower tells the congregants that if you have a problem, go see the elders. Go see the elders. They speak out of both sides of their mouth, Well, guess what? If you think a brother's getting drunk all the time, you disfellowship him. Don't tell the elders because they're not going to do it. It's not going to work. It's stupid. The only reason they're even doing this is to avoid lawsuits, and everybody knows it.
Well, and a lot of the elders are alcoholics because of all the stress and pressures that they're not prepared to handle. There's a lot of alcoholics.
Hey, Connie?
Yeah.
Do you know what this seems like?
Tell
You
me.
know how I always think crazy things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's going to give all these women who think they're elders anyway, they're going to make them into those prohibitionist women.
Yeah.
And they're going to be a bunch of carry nations running around. That's what's going to happen in this organization.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Yeah. They're going to have the power, the egos, huh? And with a lot of the brothers who are leaving, or a lot of families and elders that are leaving, which I think is very wise, Watchtower's running out of brothers. So they're having some of the sisters come in and handle the microphones and all that. And yeah, so we're going to have narcissistic sisters and, all that. Oh my word, honey. What a disaster.
Yeah, just think of what can happen here. Women who don't, they're witnesses, but they don't really like guys. So they will take their anger out on men if they're drinking too much, or if they're watching too much TV, or, oh my God, I saw you go into an R-rated movie. And then they'll just get their little other sisters together, and they'll have worse cliques than they have now.
Well, and we know
the long-term picture.
Yeah, well, we know that a lot of the gossip that happens in the congregation is with the elderettes and a lot of the sisters.
Yes.
It's like they have no life of their own. Their worlds are very small and minute. They have no lives of their own. And all they have to do is they love to feed on gossip of what's going on in the congregation. Get on the phone, start talking to sister so-and-so. And I tell you, when I was in, Sharon, the gossip would travel so fast, it was unbelievable. And I hated that about being a witness. I hated that. We had
Definitely. That's why when I went to another congregation on Tuesday, told them about my mother, it was in the whole East End on Thursday. That's only 2 days. I was counting on that Watchtower hotline for that.
Yep. 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 That's all they have. They don't have a life of their own. Their worlds are very small, and they just feed on all the gossip. And I think it's so toxic and so destructive. It's just so wonderful to be out of all that craziness. It really is. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Would anybody else? Thank you, Sharon. Would anyone else like to call in? Star 6?
Go ahead and star 6. We're going to cut you guys loose here very shortly. We've got another new program coming up. I know you guys have done a great job tonight. We appreciate it. We've got Gilbert Gonzalez and his brother Jesse. They've got a program, Tale of Two Witnesses. They're coming up very shortly here. It's a debut program, a pilot program here on the 6 screens. So we're looking forward to it. So why don't we do this? If anyone would like to speak up, we've still got a couple of minutes left here. Then we're going to go to the new program. If anyone would like to speak up and say something to Constance and Dick, you've heard some stuff here tonight maybe you never heard before. We really appreciate Sharon coming on. She really is very outspoken.
Oh yeah.
That woman has she's not holding back. She's telling it all, and we appreciate her doing that. So before we end the program, if anyone would like to come on, now's your chance to do it. It's star 6 on your telephone pad. Dick and Constance, I have to tell you, I'm looking at the numbers here. I can see it at the 6 screens control panel. Numbers are escalating. They are going up, up, up. The retention rate is wonderful. People who have listened in the very beginning, they're still here with us. I see these numbers. Things are happening. People are understanding that the Watchtower organization is not telling the truth anymore. 603 New Hampshire, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Hi, Rick. It's Kevin in New Hampshire. You were just talking about the gossip in the congregations. I mentioned once before that last meeting I went to, I had found out that everybody in the congregation was gossiping about me, and they were all saying that, oh, Kevin is gay. Well, I went to the one more meeting, and it was the last meeting I ever went to, because I was there trying to take notes, let me learn something. But in my mind, I'm saying these people are always going to judge me, and I knew that. So after that last meeting, I just couldn't go no more. It's just, you can't go without being judged and them all gossiping about you. And I don't like being gossiped about. That's not God's people.
It's not. No, it's not. Not even close. Not even close.
Hi.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Eve or Evonda, and I wanted to talk about the gossip also.
Okay.
Go ahead.
When you mentioned about going to a particular meeting and then 2 days later, all the gossip had circulated all over the place.
Yeah.
I knew exactly how it worked in the organization, and I intentionally did that on one particular occasion when my daughter's husband had committed adultery. And there was no public reproof, none of that. And I wanted it to be known that my daughter hadn't done anything wrong. So I made for sure that I brought the information to the car group. So then I knew that it would be circulated every place I wanted to circulate.
You're very shrewd.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I just want to add to that if I could. When I got disfellowshipped, there was 3 elders, and the day I got this fellowship, I was sitting in the back of the Kingdom Hall, and 2 of the elders' wives that were on the committee that disfellowshipped me, they did a 180. They almost twisted their neck, almost right around.
The elderettes.
The elderettes, and they were staring at me to see what my reaction would be when my name was announced for being disfellowshipped.
Yeah.
So I knew without a doubt that the wives of the elders that disfellowshipped me knew all about it. They probably knew all the details. And you know what? When anything that has to do with sex in those Kingdom Halls, it's like wildfire. It's like hitting pre-dial, and you get everybody in the congregation. Everybody gets the inside information on it. And I can tell you this, people add to it. It doesn't like Dick Boogie had a harem. No, I didn't. But that's how they tell it. So I agree with you that there's very, very little confidentiality, although they claim to have it, that only those 3 elders that were on that committee know.
No.
Not true.
Not even close.
All the elders know because they make the phone calls.
Right.
Just so you know.
Yeah. And then the sisters start gossiping about it. The elderettes know, and then, it's wildfire in the congregation. It's disgusting.
Well, we're so glad to hear from Evie. I mean, she's an amazing girl. She is the wife of King of Dots.
Okay.
That we also
Thank you, Evie. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Wasn't that nice having Evie on there? Evie, thank you, Evie.
I'm wife of King Dot.
Hi. I love that man. He is the life of every party. He's crazy just like me.
Yeah.
And I appreciate so much that he is a part of this community, because I started in the community. He knew nothing about this. I told him about it, and he has stayed faithful, and I'm so thankful.
Well, thank you, Evie. I love to hear from you. You are such a nice lady. You got a nice, kind, gentle voice. Thank you for coming on here tonight. Thank you, Evie. We appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. I love your show.
Well, thank you, Evie. Thank you. All right. Well, anyways, I think we're going to, Dick and Constance, I got to cut you loose. You guys want to go to church tomorrow. So,
if we don't show up, they're going to disfellowship us.
So maybe we'll cut you loose. Very good program, though. Look at what I look at here. I am the ringmaster of the program. That's what Susan calls me. So someone's gonna monitor us and look at it. But I'm looking at numbers here. What I do is I deal with numbers. I'm looking at numbers. We got a lot of people coming in tonight. Very, very good. I see the retention rate. What I look for is retention rate. I look for people that have come in the beginning and they stay with us. That happened here tonight. You guys did a wonderful job. You did a wonderful job. We appreciate you coming on here. And before we end the program, we have one more person might want to speak up. Well, come on back with us. That would be 717. We'll let you leave the last comment here. Go ahead, 717.
All right. It was a great program, and it was nice meeting. Loved meeting the wife of King of Dots.
No, you're talking about Evie.
Well,
And I've come up with names for different. Came up with terms such as calling the names such as Helders and Helderettes.
You like that?
well, there you go. Well, I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, I'm impressed when Evie came on here tonight. I want to let you know that meant a lot to me. I love to hear from her. She has such a nice, kind way. 513. What do you want to say? Is that you, Evie?
I'm here.
Yeah.
You can hear her.
What do you think, Evie? People love you, Evie. They love you.
Come on, Evie.
I'm glad to hear that, but I'm not always the kind, sweet person. I can get quite like King of the Dots too when I get riled up. Yes, I can. But I love coming up when I can, when I'm not so super busy. But this is his actual job. If he got paid to do what he does, he would be a millionaire. Yeah, because he loves what he does in this community.
Well, we love your husband too. We love your husband too. I know he's probably listening. You let him know that we love him. He's a good man. We pray that he never changes. The King of Dots, we love you. All right.
He won't. He's going to stay on for Gilbert's show because Gilbert wants him to call in, and we love Gilbert too. Yeah.
Well, Gilbert's coming on next. Coming on next. We got a brand new debuting program right here on the 6 screens. Well, Constance and Dick, we're going to cut you loose.
Okay, Rick.
Thank
you.
Well, we want you to get to bed. You got church in the morning. So let's do that. We're going to cut you loose here. We got Gilbert and we got his brother Jesse. My goodness, a debut program coming up next. Stay on this YouTube channel. Stay on this Facebook channel. Thank you very much, Dick and Constance.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. We love you and Susan. Thank you, honey.
Well, all right. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
Well,
we love everybody too. Thank you.
Well, what do you think of that? I mean, that's an amazing program. We had a really good time here tonight with DNC. Well, we got a brand new program coming up here tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have Gilbert Gonzalez, his good brother Jesse. They're coming on tonight. The Tale of Two Witnesses. That's the name of their program. Don't go anywhere. Stay on this YouTube channel. Stay on our Facebook channels. Coming up next, we're going to end the stream right here. Thank you for coming in. We want to thank Sharon. We want to thank all the people that came in here tonight and commenting on the 6 screens of the Watchtower. Thank you.